I'm going to show you how to make $3,600 in one single day from day trading SPY options specifically. So what you're looking at here is the 5-minute chart for the SPY, which is the S&P 500. And essentially you're going to need to do basically 4 things. So first things first, you're going to need to actually go to your computer at 9:30 a.m. CST, which is 1 hour after the market opens, and essentially draw the high of the day and the low of the day, which is visually just going to be basically the high of the day where 2 candles agree, and in this scenario being right here at the 516.92. Draw a line and a 10-cent rectangle all the way across. Then you go down here with the low point of the day, in this scenario being the major demand zone, because this is the major supply zone, drawing a line and a rectangle that's 10 cents in size all the way over to the right. And that essentially says that, hey, once something during the day, after this 9:30 a.m. CST line here, once something comes down and taps it, because those zones act as magnets, then basically a trade essentially happens, which is what happened here, 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 and on the bottom side over here. So there's 4 trades of this entire day that you can take a part of. And FY, all you need is 1 to be able to make that $3,600. Or you can take all 4 and just have that divided by 4, and you'll have that profitability with just more trades essentially. So as far as the next piece here, that was essentially the zones. Now we need to flip to the 1-minute chart over here, same exact asset being SPY, and we need to start drawing the zone reversal confirmation entry candles, which is just the entry criteria, which tells you for you to enter the trade. In other words, to click buy to jump in the trade. So what that essentially looks like, I'll take a simpler example over here first before I jump into the one over here on the right. The simpler one is that you see the candles come down and you need to wait until it taps the zone. So we have the first candle over here being this red one that touched the green one first, and that's the zone candle. After that, you have a opposite color, which essentially is showing that it's going back upward in that direction. And we have the reversal candle because it's reversing backward upward, right? Then after that, we have a giant green candle, which is going to be called the confirmation candle because it's confirming that the candle before is correct. And then after that, we have an entry candle, essentially, which is just a candle that for the first 5 seconds needs to show that it's green going in an upward direction, which actually is this candle, and you would enter exactly right here because you can see it's going in an upward direction. It did pull back, but then as you see, it clearly just skyrocketed back up. So we have our entry piece right here. The example over here is the same thing, but a little more complicated because sometimes it's not always perfect entries. So you have the entry candle right here. We have a red candle here. Reversal candle because it's showing in order that it is correct. It's reversing back upward. Confirmation candle showing that it's confirming the other one was correct, right? It's still in an upward direction, upward trajectory. And then it goes back down. But we come back up to here and we have an entry candle right here, which is exactly where you enter because this candle is higher than this candle right here, which is why, as you can see, none of these essentially follow the actual criteria. So the entry piece is here, and then as you see, it rocketed up after that. And that's 2 trades back to back to back, literally specifically on the 1-minute chart. So it's a quick bringer, kind of going back for a second. We have, again, we draw the high of the day, the low of the day on the 5-minute chart for SPY specifically. Then we jump to the 1-minute chart for the same asset being SPY, and we just wait for them to come down and tap those little rectangles, being the green demand zone, major demand zone that we actually drew. And once it does, you wait for those zone reversal confirmation entry candles, which is what this stands for, and you basically jump in the trade. Now, after you're in the trade, you need to know where exactly are you going. When are you exiting for a win, right? Because the most important thing when it comes to day trading is when the heck am I getting my money? So take profit is next, which is going to be defined as a minor zone, which basically is, if we're looking at these areas here, we'll look at this one here, which we just of course looked at, and the one over here. And we flip back to the 5-minute chart, by the way. Once you look at where this stuff is happening here, you need to look to the left and say, what's the closest zone where exactly something is agreeing from a candle perspective, which is 1 red candle here, 1 green candle over here. You draw that on over, and once you enter that piece, it goes up, right? This is where the entry was starting over here on the 1-minute chart, but we're on the 5-minute chart. It goes upward, and we have, boom, our first spot where it hits our take profit 1. And as you can see, boom, it did go up over here as well. Same thing over here. We had our entry candle over here. It, boom, hit our take profit 1. And then as it kept going, we haven't had a take profit 2 got hit, which is this piece over here. 2 candles that agreed that were closest to it, draw that over, and you hit take profit 2. Now, This is essentially for the take profits anyway. You just draw those zones because again, the 5-minute chart is only used for drawing rectangles. That's basically it. Once you flip back to the 1-minute chart where all these entries and exits and etc. happen, this is what it basically looks like. Right over here, we have our entry piece here, and our take profit 1 is boom all the way up there, and take profit 2 is boom all the way up there. So it's a very, very clean trade after you've done the entry, and it makes it that much simpler. The one over here, same thing, right? We had our entry piece here. So we enter here, take profit 1 is here, take profit 2 is up in this area as well. So you see it hit it exactly in that spot right here. So that's the take profit pieces of what it looks like on the 1-minute chart. And quick FYI, when it comes to stop losses, you have 2 exact areas where you can do it. And a stop loss FY is defined as where exactly you stop out for a loss if a worst case scenario happens. I usually have 2 defined so that way I can give myself some leeway depending on the trade. It's essentially the top of this zone and the bottom of the zone. So this is take profit, stop loss 1, this is stop loss 2. And you need an actual candle, being this little green body or red body specifically, to come down and actually close at this spot here. So there's no rectangle here, which is why you entered here. It came back down, but it rocketed back up. Same thing over here, stop loss 1 here, stop loss 2 here. We entered in this spot here, never came back down for a loss essentially, and it worked out very well. Next piece, FY, when it comes to that $3,600 in profit, this is how exactly it's calculated. So the way we do it is we day trade options, which are the same day expiration contracts. If we bought, we'll use the example of the one right here in this spot, that option contract, same day expiration contract for 1 is $104 only for the 1. But realistically, to make big money, you have to use big money. So for 1, you start with the 1 contract, 2, work your way to 2 contracts, which would be this times 2, then work your way to 5, then work your way to 10, which is how much this would cost, so on and so forth, slowly to scale up. And to a certain point, the goal is for you to trade less but earn more because you're using more money in the pot doing the same exact trades that you would be doing with the single 1 contract. But once you do 100 contracts, that costs $10,400. But keep in mind, you've proven to yourself that you can trade with $100 basically. And once you do that with 100 contracts, which is what I trade, which is what my thousands and thousands of students that have done one-on-one coaching specifically in my 30-person organization have essentially done, you can then sell those 100 contracts for $14,000 at this spot up here for that take profit 2. So that $14,000 minus $10,400 is $3,600 in profit. And FY, that is only one of these trades, technically. And if I go back, by the way, I have 4 circles over here that are actually circled. So if I get my handy dandy calculator out real quick, just as a quick aside, 3,600 divided by 4 is $900. So if you actually didn't want to trade with the 100 contracts and you wanted to get $900 in profit on each one of these instead, that gets you your $3,600. Which technically maybe wouldn't be 100 contracts. You can do 100 contracts divided by 4, which is 25 contracts. So if we go back to this piece here, if, let's see, 25. So if 10 is $1,040, 50 is about $5,200. So that means 5,200 divided by 2 is 25 contracts. That means you technically only need to trade with $2,600 to be able to capture 4 trades each with the same amount of money, and you can make $900 per trade, which $900 per trade times 4 is your $3,600 in profit. There's a lot of ways to actually split this for you to make that profitability. So it's really up to you. But either way, go ahead and click the next video on this screen here to watch a 30-minute walkthrough of this exact trade, step by step, in a very calm, slow, collected, analytical way, and that explain everything A to Z.